How did the fall of Byzantium lead to the Renaissance? But first, let's do a quick and dirty on the Renaissance. The word is French for rebirth, and it's called that because it refers to the intellectual, cultural, and artistic movement that was a rediscovery of classical Greek and Roman learning, philosophy, science, and art. This took place between the 14th and the 17th centuries and began in Florence, spreading throughout Europe. So now the question is, what prompted it? To start, cultural movements are the result of great innovations, political changes, etc. And you can think about the impact of the invention of photography with a daguerreotype on art in the 19th century, where painters no longer had the monopoly on mechanical precision. Or you can think about the Cold War and the US government's involvement in propping up modern artists like Jackson Pollock or jazz musicians to highlight cultural differences between the West and the Soviets. So now in terms of the Renaissance, there are of course multiple factors that caused it, like sharp economic growth in banking and merchant families who used their wealth to become patrons for arts and scholars. Think the Medici family. The expansion of trade networks marked by the age of exploration. Think Columbus. Technological innovation that ramped up the spread of information. Think the printing press and Gutenberg. But there was a key event in the 15th century that was the main force jumpstarting this rebirth. The Byzantine Empire was severely weakened following the Fourth Crusade in 1204, and of course before then too, but it never fully recovered, even after reestablishing itself in Constantinople in 1261. Barbarian tribes and enemy powers like the Kingdom of Serbia, the Bulgarians, aggressive Western merchant states like Venice and Florence, the Seljuks, and the growing Ottoman threat, these powers all steadily chipped away at the Byzantine Empire's remaining strength. By the 1400s, the Byzantine Empire was significantly reduced in territory, as you can see on this map. And on May 29th, 1453, the Ottomans conquered Constantinople. Leading up to this, though, scholars and the elite had fled the city for Italy, bringing with them their extensive and expensive libraries filled with Byzantine and classical scholarship. Of course, this is pre-printing press, so we're talking about handwritten manuscripts which were expensive and time-consuming to make and to copy. So when these Greek scholars fled west, they not only brought their libraries with them, but most importantly, they brought their knowledge of language and Greek learning and culture. And this is the point where I actually want to take issue with the term Renaissance or rebirth, because as I just pointed out, the Byzantines consistently studied and improved upon classical Greek learning. So there wasn't a rebirth because the Byzantines always knew, studied, and appreciated ancient Greek texts. The reason we even have the works of Plato, Homer, Euclid, for example, is because the Byzantines read these texts and commented on them extensively. So their own literature was inspired by classical works, which means that they were never actually divorced from their ancient tradition. It was only the Italians, French, British, Dutch, Germans, etc., who had to actually rediscover these texts. And I can't emphasize that enough.